My parents gave everything to my siblings and said, "You were never truly ours," so I bought the company that just laid off my entire family. Before I continue with today's story, I'd love for you to support our channel. And while you're at it, drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. I sat at my parents' dining table, the same scarred oak where I'd eaten cereal before school for 18 years. The smell of Mama's peach cobbler filled the air, but something felt wrong. My siblings, Mario, Belinda, and Devin, kept exchanging glances I couldn't read. Daddy cleared his throat 3 times before speaking. "Aaliyah, we need to talk about something." His voice carried that tone, the one he'd used when explaining why I couldn't go to summer camp when I was 12, or why my college fund had mysteriously shrunk. My stomach tightened. Mario smirked into his wine glass. At 32, he still lived in their basement, but somehow that was fine. Belinda twisted her new diamond bracelet, the one Mama had called an early inheritance. I was 28, had my MBA, worked 60-hour weeks at a consulting firm, and hadn't asked them for a dime since graduation. "We've decided to redistribute our assets," Mama said, not meeting my eyes. "Mario is getting the house when we pass. Belinda gets the rental properties. Devin gets the life insurance policies and the investment accounts." My fork clattered against the plate. "And me?" The silence stretched like taffy. Then Daddy said the words that would haunt me, "Sweetheart, you were never truly ours. We adopted you, remember? Blood should take care of blood." The room tilted. 28 years, and suddenly I wasn't family. I couldn't breathe. "What are you talking about? You adopted me when I was 3 months old." Mama dabbed her eyes with a napkin, but I saw no real tears. "It's different with biological children, Aaliyah. You understand, don't you? You've always been so independent." Independent. The word they'd used whenever I asked for help. When I needed braces, independent. When my car broke down senior year, independent. When I asked them to co-sign my first apartment, independent. "I paid for my own college," I said, my voice shaking. "I worked 3 jobs. I sent you money when Daddy lost his job in 2019. Belinda sighed dramatically. "See? You're already successful. You don't need our help. Mario has his business to think about." Mario's business was a failed food truck that had eaten through $40,000 of their retirement. Devin leaned back, barely 24, fresh out of dropping out of his 3rd college. "It's just logical, sis. We're family." That word, family, slicing like a knife. "I thought I was family," I whispered. Daddy stood up, conversation over. "You're being emotional. This is about legacy. Our blood legacy." I looked at each of them, really looked. Mario's entitled smirk. Belinda's cold dismissal. Devin's indifference. Mama's fake sympathy. And I realized something crystalline and brutal. I'd been the outsider all along, funding my place at their table with achievement and silence. Driving home, my hands shook so badly I had to pull over at a McDonald's parking lot on Peachtree Street. That's when the memories started flooding back, the ones I'd painted with rosy denial. I was 8 when Mario pushed me down the stairs, and Mama said, "He didn't mean it, Aaliyah. Don't be so sensitive." I was 12 when the family went to Disney World, without me. "It's a siblings trip," Daddy had explained. "You wouldn't have fun anyway." But I was their sibling. Wasn't I? I was 16 when Belinda stole my homecoming dress and wore it to her own dance. When I protested, Mama slapped me. "Don't be selfish. It looks better on her anyway." Every Christmas, smaller gifts. Every birthday, less celebration. Every achievement, muted praise followed by, "But don't get a big head." I'd thought if I just worked harder, achieved more, proved myself worthy, they'd love me like they loved the others. My phone buzzed. Mario, don't be dramatic. You're still invited to family dinners. I stared at that text until the words blurred. Family dinners where I didn't exist. Where I was the charity case. The outsider they'd taken in and now could discard with casual cruelty. Something inside me didn't just break, it transformed. I'd spent 28 years trying to earn love from people who'd never intended to give it. That stopped tonight. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I opened my laptop and started digging. If they wanted to talk about assets and legacy, fine. Let's talk about it. By 3 a.m., I discovered Mario's business had actually defaulted on a $75,000 loan that Mama and Daddy had co-signed. Bankruptcy proceedings were pending. Belinda's rental properties. Mortgage to the hilt. She was 3 months behind on payments on both. One was in pre-foreclosure. Devon's college fund, the one they protected so carefully, had been liquidated to pay off his gambling debts. $42,000, gone. But here's what made my blood run cold: the house, the real family home worth $800,000 in Atlanta's inflated market, had my name on the original deed. I'd been removed in 2018, signatures forged on documents I'd never seen. I called my college roommate, Jasmine, who'd become a real estate attorney. "Girl, it's 4 a.m., she groaned. "Jazz, I need you to look at something. Now." 20 minutes later, she called back, her voice sharp and awake. "Aaliyah, this is fraud. Clear, prosecutable fraud. Your signatures are notarized on dates when you were in Tokyo for work. I checked your old Instagram posts. Someone forged legal documents." My heart hammered. What can I do? Question is, baby girl, what do you want to do? Because you could blow their entire world up with one phone call. I took a sick day, first one in 3 years. My boss, Margaret Wright, called me personally. "Aaliyah, you never call in sick. What's wrong?" Margaret had been my mentor since I joined Hartwell Consulting. She knew about my family situation, at least the surface of it. Family issues, I managed. "Take the week," she said firmly. "And call me if you need anything." I mean it. That kindness, from someone with no obligation to care, made me cry harder than anything my parents had said. I spent Monday gathering documents. Tuesday, I met with Jasmine and a forensic accountant named Wright Baptiste, no relation to Margaret, but just as sharp. By Wednesday, I had a complete financial picture of my family's disaster. "They're drowning," Wright said, spreading papers across his desk. "Mario's business failure triggered a cascade. Your parents refinanced their house twice to cover his debts. Belinda's rental income was keeping them afloat, but she's been pocketing the money for her lifestyle. Devon's gambling. He owes people. Bad people." "How bad?" I asked. Wright's expression darkened. "The kind who don't take IOUs." That's when Jasmine dropped the bomb. "There's something else. Your father works for Titanium Tech Industries, right?" "Has for 20 years. I nodded. Titanium Tech manufactured industrial components, employed about 200 people in the Atlanta area. "It's being sold," Jasmine said quietly. "The sale closes in 6 weeks. Who's buying Titanium Tech?" I asked, my mind already spinning. Jasmine exchanged a glance with Wright. "That's the thing, it's going to a private equity firm. Rayburn Capital. They're known for acquisitions and restructuring, which usually means layoffs. My father had worked in their quality control department for 2 decades. Mario had gotten hired there 5 years ago through nepotism, working in sales despite having no qualifications. Belinda's husband, Jerome, managed their logistics. Even Devon had recently been brought on as an administrative assistant. It was the family business, just not our family's business. How much are they asking? The question came out before I'd fully formed the thought. Wright's eyebrows shot up. For titanium tech. $8.2 million. Why? I did the math in my head. I had $900,000 in savings and investments. My 401k had another $300,000. I own my condo outright, worth $450,000 in the current market. I have $1.6 million in liquid and semi-liquid assets, I said slowly. What would I need for a leveraged buyout? Jasmine started laughing, then stopped when she saw my face. Girl, you're serious. Dead serious. Wright leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with the light of someone who loved a good financial puzzle. You'd need at least $2.5 million for a down payment, solid credit, and an airtight business plan. Rayburn Capital's already positioned to close the deal. You'd have to move fast and offer better terms. Then let's move, I said. I want that company. I walked into Margaret's office Thursday morning. She took one look at my face and closed the door. Talk to me. I told her everything, the dinner, the adoption revelation, the fraud, the company sale. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing progressively darker. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone here, Margaret finally said. I was adopted too. Korean baby adopted by white parents in Iowa. And when I was 30, my birth mother found me, not because she loved me, but because she needed a kidney. My breath caught. My adoptive parents, the ones who changed my diapers and paid for my education, they're my real family. Biology is just DNA, Aaliyah. Family is choice. Your parents made their choice. Now you make yours. She opened her laptop. How much do you need? Margaret, I can't ask you to, you're not asking. I'm offering. I have $500,000 I can invest. Wright and I have been looking for the right opportunity. My mind reeled. You know Wright Baptiste. He's my husband, she said with a slight smile. And before you protest, this is business. Titanium tech has strong fundamentals. With proper management, it's profitable. Your family has just been bleeding it through nepotistic dead weight. She pulled up a spreadsheet that made my consultant heart sing. We can structure this as a partnership. You'll maintain controlling interest. But Aaliyah. Her eyes locked with mine. If we do this, you have to be ready for the fallout. Your family will hate you. They already don't love me, I said. What's the difference? The next 3 weeks were a hurricane of paperwork, lawyers, and late-night strategy sessions. Margaret and Wright brought in 2 other investors, Margaret's brother Daniel, who ran a manufacturing consultancy, and a woman named Simone Toussaint, who owned a successful supply chain business. Between us, we had $3.2 million and the expertise to turn titanium tech around. Daniel spent a week auditing their operations. His report was damning, they're operating at 60% efficiency. Quality control is a joke, your father's department rubber stamps everything. Sales, under Mario, has lost 3 major clients due to incompetence. Logistics is overpaying for everything because Jerome negotiates contracts with his buddies, probably getting kickbacks. Can we save it? I asked. Can we make it profitable? Simone smiled. Honey, we can make it thrive. But first, we cut the rot. We structured an offer that Titanium Tech's desperate owners couldn't refuse, $8.5 million, $300,000 over asking, closing in 2 weeks instead of 6, and guaranteed retention of 75% of the current workforce. The key word being 75%. On a rainy Tuesday in March, I signed the papers. Aaliyah Jamra Walker, majority owner of Titanium Tech Industries. I was now my father's boss. My brother's boss. My brother-in-law's boss. The irony tasted like honey and vengeance mixed together. I gave myself one night to feel the enormity of it. Then I got to work. Because buying the company was just step one. Cleaning house was step two. I scheduled a company-wide meeting for Monday morning, 8 a.m. sharp. The previous owners had announced the sale but hadn't revealed the buyer, just that there was new leadership taking over. I watched from the back of the conference room as employees filed in. Quality control workers in their polo shirts. Floor staff in coveralls. Administrative personnel looking nervous. And there, sitting together in the third row, was my family. Daddy looked tired, his gray hair thinner than I remembered. Mario was on his phone, not even pretending to pay attention. Jerome whispered something to Belinda, who laughed too loudly. Devin was hungover, or still drunk. Simone stepped to the podium first. Good morning. I'm Simone Toussaint, Chief Operations Officer of the new ownership group. We're excited about Titanium Tech's future. Changes are coming, but they're changes that will make us stronger. She introduced Daniel as the new VP of Manufacturing, Wright as CFO. Margaret would serve as strategic advisor. And then Simone said, "Now I'd like to introduce you to your new CEO." I walked to the front of the room. The silence was deafening. I watched my father's face drain of color. Mario dropped his phone. Belinda's mouth fell open. "My name is Aaliyah Walker," I said calmly. "And I'm here to turn this company around." Daddy stood up, his chair scraping loudly. You can't, sit down, Mr. Walker," I said, my voice cold. "Or you're fired right now." The meeting lasted 2 hours. I outlined new performance standards, attendance policies, and ethical guidelines. Every employee would undergo a 90-day review. Those who met standards would receive raises. Those who didn't would be let go. This company has been operating on nepotism and mediocrity, I said, watching Mario squirm. That ends today. If you're here because you're good at your job, you have nothing to worry about. If you're here because of who you know, start updating your resume. After the meeting, I conducted private reviews. I started with Mario. He swaggered into my new office like he owned it. "Look, Aaliyah, this is awkward, but we're family. You're not really going to, you've lost 3 major accounts in 2 years, I interrupted, sliding a folder across the desk. Davidson Industries, Cortex Manufacturing, and Stellar Components. Combined annual revenue of $2.3 million. Your sales numbers are the worst in the department, yet you're paid 20% above average. Daddy got me this job. You can't, your employment is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." His face turned purple. "You vindictive bitch. This is because of the will. This is because you're incompetent," I said. The will just made it more satisfying. Jerome was next. The logistics audit revealed $180,000 in suspicious vendor payments over 18 months. "You're fired for cause," I told him. "And we're referring your contracts to the fraud division." By lunch, I'd terminated 5 employees. 4 were incompetent. 1 was my family. By end of day, the number was 12. 8 were dead weight. 4 were my family. Devin was the last. He cried, begged, promised to do better. "You've been here 3 months and called in sick 20 times, I said. "No. They ambushed me in the parking lot. All of them, Mama, Daddy, Mario, Belinda, Jerome, Devin." Mario grabbed my arm. Security, already alert, moved in. "Don't touch me," I said quietly. "Ever again." Mama was crying real tears now. "How could you do this to your family?" "My family?" The laugh that escaped me was sharp enough to cut. You told me I wasn't your family. You wrote me out of your will, forged my signatures on legal documents, and threw me away like garbage because my blood wasn't good enough. Daddy stepped forward. We were going to talk to you about the will. We just needed time, you needed money, I corrected. That's all you've ever needed from me. Money and the right to feel good about yourselves for rescuing a poor black baby. Belinda's voice shook. Jerome has 2 kids to feed. You've destroyed our life. Jerome stole from the company. He destroyed his own life. I just documented it. I looked at each of them. You want to know the real joke? I would have helped you. If you'd come to me honestly, told me about the debts, the foreclosures, the gambling, I would have helped. But you couldn't do that, could you? Because helping would mean treating me like an equal. You're sick, Mario spat. You're twisted and vindictive. I'm what you made me, I said. Then I drove away and didn't look back. That night, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, voicemails. Relatives I hadn't heard from in years, all telling me I was wrong, cruel, heartless. I blocked them all. Except one. Aunt Rochelle, Mama's sister, sent a text, about damn time somebody stood up to them. Proud of you, baby girl. 3 months later, Titanium Tech was transformed. We'd cut the dead weight and promoted from within. Shanice, who'd been a floor supervisor, became our new quality control director. Her department's error rate dropped by 40%. Ramon, a junior salesman Mario had bullied relentlessly, became sales director. He brought back 2 of the 3 lost accounts and landed a new one. Morale skyrocketed. Productivity increased by 35%. For the first time in 5 years, Titanium Tech was genuinely profitable. I instituted profit sharing, something the previous owners had never considered. When employees saw their first bonus checks, several cried. My kid can get braces now, one woman told me. I never thought we'd afford it. That's when it hit me, this was what family should be. People who lifted each other up. I still saw my biological family around town. They'd filed a lawsuit challenging the company's sale, it was dismissed. They'd reported me to every regulatory agency they could think of, all investigations found nothing. They'd shown up at my condo, I got a restraining order. Mama left a voicemail, I hope you're happy. Your father had a heart attack. Stress from losing his job. I called the hospital. Talked to his doctor. He's fine. Minor cardiac event, mostly anxiety related. But Ms. Walker. His blood pressure and cholesterol were dangerously high. If he'd kept working without addressing it, he'd have died within a year. You might have saved his life. I didn't visit. I sent flowers with a card, glad you're okay. Use this time to rest and reflect. No signature. He'd know who it was from. A year after that dinner, I sat in my new office, bigger building, better location, and took stock. Titanium Tech had doubled its workforce. We'd expanded into 2 new markets. Forbes had featured us in an article about successful minority-owned businesses. I'd paid off all acquisition debt and bought out one of the smaller investors at their request. Margaret and Wright remained partners and friends. We had dinner every Sunday. Her kids called me Auntie Aaliyah. That's what family sounded like. Jasmine called. You sitting down? Your parents' house sold. Foreclosure auction. Sold for $625,000, way under value. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not guilt. Just nothing. The rental properties went too. Mario declared bankruptcy last month. Belinda and Jerome moved in with her sister. Devon's in rehab, gambling addiction program. Good, I said, and meant it. Rehab's good. Your family's broke, Aaliyah. They have nothing. I thought about that. About the family that had everything and threw it away because they couldn't see value in someone who didn't share their DNA. About the empire they could have built if they'd just chosen love over blood. They have each other, I finally said. That's what they wanted, right? Their blood legacy. I hung up and looked at the photo on my desk. Me, Margaret, Wright, Jasmine, and Simone at our company anniversary party. We were laughing, arms around each other. This was my family. The one I chose. The one that chose me back. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It's Daddy. Can we talk? I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it and blocked the number. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. They're meant to be burned so you can finally stop looking back and start building forward. And baby, I was building an empire. They wanted a blood legacy. I gave myself a legacy of choice, strength, and success. And that's the only inheritance that truly matters.